Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy AMG Dens. Welcome to the channel if you're new around here. Today we're doing a hot lap analysis and guide around Daytona in the Porsche 992 GTR for the EOR GT3 League Championship. So without further ado, let's go to my fastest lap. Track conditions are obviously at night, track temperature is 18 degrees Celsius and we're running a fixed setup. That's a big emphasis, it's for the fixed. So I know there are aliens out there that can do 42s and 41s, but this is purely just in a fixed setup after the season 4 build of iRacing. Let's get into it. Right guys, so our fastest lap was a 1 minute 43.522. Coming into turn 1, you want to make as much of a wide entrance or entry into the corner as possible. We're going to be focusing on two techniques today as part of this guide. First one's going to be trail braking, second one's going to be short shifting. So coming into turn 1 then, your reference point is this yellow box on the top right hand corner where the guard railing is. So just after that, you want to get onto the brakes. You don't want to really go any more beyond like maybe 95%, maybe 90% here, because if you do, you engage the ABS and it will cause the car to slow down a lot slower, which is not what you want. I'm gonna just slow it down a bit, and as you can see, I'm trailing the brake here. I think what most people do sometimes is they brake 100% and then they just release the brake, where it doesn't help the car rotate into the corner. You're not manipulating the weight transfer of the car. So what I'm doing into turn 1 is just, I'm not an all at 90% anymore, kind of back down to 50. And as I'm turning the steering wheel, I'm gradually bleeding off the brakes but still trailing it. So just modulating the brake here, you can kind of see that I'm slowly releasing the brake now as I downshift into second gear, still trailing it. And then look at the amount of steering angle to the amount of trail brake I've got. And this is what's helping me to rotate the car without locking up, and it's really key. So alright, this is good because already now I've gone past this tire barrier and you can already see I'm on the accelerator. The key with this corner as well is that you don't want to carry too much speed inside there, or else you'll understeer and miss the apex. But also you don't want to trail brake too much for too long, because it can unsettle the rear of the car and give you snap oversteer. So on the power, and just do it progressively. So it would have been easy midway through here to just completely slam the throttle, but when you do that, you could probably understeer and then it will compromise your entry into 2 and 3. So progressively getting onto the power, use up as much curb on the right, hop over to the left, and then this is where we're going to focus on our short shifting technique. But before we get into that, we've got another opportunity to trail brake. So coming into this right-hander for, well, essentially turn 4, if you count the other twos as corners, you want to kind of brake in a straight line to give you the maximum braking performance. But at the same time as well, you want a late apex because this corner is really tight. It's almost on the verge of like a 90 degrees corner you get on a street circuit. So again, we brake, and the reference really actually is these cones. You want to brake just before it. So braking just before these cones. Again, initially it was about 90, now it's about 70. Get the nose of the car turned in, and what we're aiming for is a late apex. So what most people do is they try and aim for this yellow bit of the curb here. That'd be an early apex. But then the issue is that you compromise the exit of the corner because you can't get on the throttle as quickly. So we're going for a later apex. So the idea is to kind of run out a bit wide and then to catch the curb in the second phase of the corner. So kind of around here. So, wow, look at the backfire from the Porsche as well, pretty cool. So again, getting the apex for the second part, and then this is the key bit in terms of short shifting. So, you downshift all the way into 1. Let's go back even a bit more. So we go down into 1 to give us a bit more rotation so we can clip this part of the late apex. And then before we get onto the power, just as we get onto the power, I short shift into second gear. I could have continued accelerating in first, but then the issue is that you'd get a bit of wheel spin because essentially you're accelerating from a really low speed corner and the car isn't completely straight, and on top of that you've got this amount of steering angle still on the wheel. So to dull the revs a bit, short shift into second gear, and then look, I can kind of mash the gas now a bit more easily. You can still actually see the traction control light flashing there a bit, but the car is moving in a very progressive way. There's no slip angle or kind of slide. It just hooks up in second gear. Late apex, second, on the gas. Traction for days. Right, so moving into the second sector of the lap now. Fairly straightforward. Completely flat around here. And then you're kind of braking halfway in between this last cone and this first cone. I would, if I was anybody, I would start off braking here and then progressively aim towards here. So again, brake in a straight line, using about like maybe 70% brake there, or just maybe 75. And again, I'm just rotating the car in and I'm just trailing the brake. I think what most people do sometimes is they use the brake pedal almost as like it's a light. So it's either on or off, brake or off the brake. Whereas the beauty of trail braking is it helps you rebalance the weight distribution of the car. So therefore when you brake, rather than putting all the strain on the front tires which are braking and now you're asking them to turn as well, you're moving some of that grip off the front and putting some of that pressure on the rear by letting the car kind of like pivot, almost like leaning into the corner by still holding the brake. And as you can see here, it's not a lot of brake, it's maybe like 20%, I'd say. So again, we're just trailing, and here you're aiming for like a mid apex here, so just brush that curb there. And already, as we were on this curb now, we're already starting to kind of accelerate. So accelerate, and with this one you got to do it kind of progressively, like it's slowly going up in terms of the application. I could have completely slammed the throttle there. Maybe I would have got some oversteer with the twitch on the traction, and also because it's such a long bending corner as well, sometimes the car has a tendency to kind of understeer with the fixed setup. So I progressively get onto the power, and then as soon as, well, just before the end of this curb, then I fully get on the accelerator. So setting the car up for sector 3, again one of the most difficult and technical corners of the entire circuit. Going into the outfield section on the banking where the NASCARs run. And again, we're just kind of aiming in the middle of these cones. So that would be kind of your initial kind of like observation point. But ideally, I want to slow the car at the middle. So getting the car in a straight line again. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So running the car as far to the wide to open up the corner. About 70% there. And then slowly trailing the brake, still trailing the brake, then progressively on the power. And that's the thing, with this corner there is no kind of like wrong or right way. With me, I find the fixer up on the Porsche a bit understeery, so what I try to do is turn the car in as early as possible and then maximize the width of the exit. Some people, what they do is they brake in a straight line, they brake all the way out here. We're already turning because the car understeers, but some people, they would brake more out here and then do a late apex, almost like what we did for turn 4. That way you get like, let's say not the best kind of initial exit, but then having said that, you'd be able to carry more speed going into the bus stop chicane. So different ways you can do it. I just think with this Porsche, and already like look at how much the car is like body rolling. Like you can see that the car's kind of pitching on its right suspension because of the amount of load we're carrying into this corner. So roll the car in and progressively get on the gas here, and I'm using up as much kind of road as I can here whilst going in a straight line or the right direction. And then yeah, you get onto the banking section and you just have to be careful with how you merge on there, especially on lap 1. Tires are a bit cold, back end wants to slide around a bit, Budgie in the background wants to go absolutely mental. So yeah, either way, down into the bus stop chicane. And I saw Dave Cameron, he's a YouTuber that makes really exceptional sim racing content. He's talking about his 5 worst corners that scare him. And to be fair, the bus stop chicane is probably a good candidate for this, because this corner will absolutely make or break your lap, basically. So coming up to it, another reference point again is this yellow kind of double signal pole, I think that is. Someone will correct me, but it looks kind of like a signal pole. So you want to brake just after it. So braking just after it. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to just tell my budgie to shush. Give me 2 seconds. Right, pet budgie aside now. Coming into the bus stop chicane. The reference point, like I said earlier, is this yellow box here. You want to brake just after it again in a straight line. And we're going to slow... Well, actually, I'm going to run it in real speed one time, and then afterwards I'm going to show you the analysis. So it's probably the hardest thing to get right on this circuit, because it could either destroy your lap or make it. What I would advise, guys, with this bus stop chicane is the mentality is, what's the saying? Slow in, fast out. So there's no point in trying to brake as late as possible for this corner, because if you carry too much speed, the car will either oversteer and you'll die into one of these tire barriers, or it will understeer and then you'll miss the apex of the second exit and you'll get basically an off track. So it's just about slow in, fast out. So coming into it, so just going past that yellow box on the brakes, probably about 90%. Slowly bleeding off the brakes, down into 4th gear, down into 2nd gear, and again using as much of this curb as possible. It's really actually hard to see that curb when you're inside the car, because the visibility isn't as great as it is obviously off board. But using as much as that sausage curb that you could use within reason. Go back to the off board. That's like millimeter perfect. And then bring it over 3rd gear, trailing the brake a bit to settle the car for the change of direction, and then back onto the power. So brake, 4th gear, turn, 3rd gear, turn, and then back on the accelerator. And again, this is just a case of practice, guys. You just have to do it over and over, repeatedly. Like, I've got 15 X's. All of these are just off tracks from trying different lines, experimenting with what actually works for me in this car, and eventually I finally got it on this lap. But you can see it's millimeters. So again, really kind of trying to hug this inside curb without getting the track limits there. Fully on the gas. Again, nature of the fix-up, it kind of wants to understeer, and let's have a look at this, guys. I just kind of get away with that. That's crazy, just like millimeters away. Actually, let's see. Oh god, oh god, that's a millimeter away. That's crazy. Just at what is it, 186 kilometers? That's crazy. Get away with that. And then yeah, that's practically the lap at that point. For your quali lap, you basically want to hug this inside apron. Don't touch this yellow kind of like dividing line, or else it will unsettle the car. You'll lose speed. As fingertip stuff, you can see that there's not too many adjustments on my steering wheel. Just trying to keep the speed up as we build through. Keep the car straight on the left hand side here. And that's a lap. So what I'll do for you guys now is I'll run the lap again, but what I'll do is I'll do it from cockpit mode, so you can at least see it from like the perspective of the driver. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If there's any feedback or any questions you have, please let me know. One other point I'd like to make too is because it's a fixed set, you can't do anything to the traction control or ABS. However, I did move the brake bias 2 clicks or maybe even 3 clicks to the rear. Again, with the nature of the fix-up in the Porsche, it's a bit understeery, and also to maximize like the brakes with the trail braking, I found it easier to just move the brake balance or brake bias towards the rear. So it's literally 0.53. That's the setting for the brake balance. Either way, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to show you a lap fully on board with the cockpit, and any questions at all, let us know. Till next time, it's been your boy AMG Dens, and I hope you enjoyed this lap. Peace.